Hi, I'm Bob Van Allen. I am president of Coldwell Banker Tomlinson, and we create real estate success across Idaho and Eastern Washington. I'm super excited to be here this morning with Mountain Modular. Cody Draper and John Markoff, welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. And we're super stoked to talk about your product, your system, and the problems that you're helping solve together in the housing market. So welcome. Thanks for being here with me today.
Thanks, Bob.
I appreciate
Thanks
it.
a lot, Bob, for having us. We appreciate it.
I'll kick it off, I guess, by saying I'm very grateful for the partnership that we have with you guys and through our agent, Julie McConnell. We're super excited to be able to bring your product to market through our realtor team and to be able to help educate. I know that's a big part of the process of selling product, obviously, is education, right? So I think today there's going to be a lot of that. But before we dive into that, I would love to hear, Cody, from you. Where did this idea come from, and kind of your background, your bio? You come from the construction background. Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Sure. Good question. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. So growing up, I really kind of have done a number of things and kind of got into construction about 15, 20 years ago, which then led me to building homes. And building homes led me to developing land because there were a shortage in building lots. And so I was like, well, nobody will sell me a lot to build. So I got into land development, which I really enjoy. And I actually believe in kind of open space. And what I mean open space is I like to play in markets that no one really is playing in. So I kind of fell in love with Valley County, Idaho, which has its challenges. There's reasons why the housing market struggles up there, is just kind of due to productivity. And so I developed a subdivision there in McCall, Idaho, and decided I'd build it out, which led me to a lot of challenges that were super expensive. It was kind of during COVID. It was hard to find materials. We had to wait on subs and had to pay the bills along the way that were very costly to get people out of town to McCall. I did that for about 3 years and kind of just knew instantly that there had to be another way. So John and I had some in-depth discussions about the housing market and this pivot that we'd been kind of wanting to put into action. And so I kind of just jumped with both feet into designing Mountain Modular, and that's where we're at today. Last August, I kind of put it in motion. I have a big development in Cascade, Idaho coming, and so I wanted to parallel with that development, which right now is about 2 weeks from final plat. So all of this timing is coming in perfect. And the ability to build homes in a warehouse in a controlled, calculated environment is massive. When you leave that warehouse and you go up to a job site, there's so many variables. One of the biggest variables was weather. And up in McCall, as you know, it's seasonal. So we have to cut the tape probably in May, and we have to finish by December. So 90% of those builds go through a season of winter, which is about 5 months. We don't have that time in life. So for us, it was we could build every day of the year in a warehouse. We can focus on a better quality product, and we can supervise all of the kind of things that go into a build. So as we adjusted the model, it took a lot of learning how to build inside of a warehouse. But now that we've been through it, executed it, we're just kind of ramping up.
Yeah, that's great. Well, and obviously when you kind of with McCall and Valley County as the initial starting point, as we all know, and as you mentioned, like availability of labor and supplies and materials. I mean, it's harder to get everything up there, right? And all of that over the last couple of years has contributed to an affordability issue, not just there, but really pretty much globally, right? And so I think what excited me most, or one of the things that excited me most about this partnership is just the focus on the housing affordability piece. And I was sharing with you guys earlier, I know about a recent survey that said that 80% of young Gen Zers, so under the age of 30, their primary voting issue and topic this fall in the election is not any of the other usual suspects. It's housing affordability, right? And so that's super exciting. And I know that's been kind of a big part of your focus with Mountain Modular, right?
Yeah, I think being out of town, I had a couple local people come up to me, even some of the administration that's there in Valley County, and said, "Hey, we're really looking for a guy who can build affordable housing." And so when you start dissecting what it takes to build affordable housing and pass that on to a client, the recipe in Valley County just doesn't exist. It's the reason nobody's doing it now is because it's near impossible to do in a traditional build. But when we start kind of thinking outside of the box, we can build at about 65% of a cost that it would take to be up there on a job site, and we can do it in a quick time frame. But we can build these homes with the margins, the same margins, just we're putting less money into the build, and so then we can deliver that to a client, and they're a couple $100,000 less. I think that's what's most exciting for us. At the end of the day, you like to give back, and one of the good feelings you have that we're already getting is a lot of clients who have said, "Hey, we've been looking for years for a product like this, but not just a product that we can afford." And so that's a feel good at the end of the day. And I think when you start seeing first-time home buyers and people that can start qualifying again for these homes, you kind of, the light goes on and you say, well, let's just kind of move forward with more of this. And that's where we're at with our relationships. Those are super important to us because we know it's just not a crisis in Valley County. It is statewide, nationwide. And so one of those skill sets that we offer is through John Markoff in the development of our company. This is a team effort, it's not just me. There's multiple people in place that are helping this kind of our trajectory climb, and John's one of those guys that's there to help.
Awesome. That's a great intro maybe for you, John. Tell us a little bit about your background, kind of how you got here and into this.
Yeah, well, thanks again for having us. I have a long background, actually. I started in the private equity industry in 1993, making investments into businesses and real estate. I still do it today. We make investments on behalf of private wealthy families and private wealthy individuals. And I'm a market guy, so I'm always looking for market inefficiencies and opportunities to solve big problems. And as you guys have both articulated very well, this is a market that has some significant inefficiencies right now. And it's really a pain point for the entire nation. Yeah. And Cody mentioned it. It really feels good to solve problems that are a pain point. And for me personally, it's the way I contribute back to society is through my market skills and solving these problems and being part of teams like with Cody and yourselves, where I can work with people who are really, really talented in solving problems that are pain points on behalf of a lot of people, and this is one of them. And the thing I really love about our product is that it's a pride of ownership product. It is not a tiny home. Right. It is not a mobile home.
Right.
It is you go into it and you're like, wow, when you tour the product, you're like, it really is a wow factor. Like you feel the quality of the building immediately. The tolerances are all so tight, and so it's really exciting to be able to go to market with something where there is pride of ownership. You're not offering something where people are sacrificing. They're a really, really nice home, and so we're pretty excited, and it's fun to be a part of it. And where I come in, Cody has some great skills, and my skills are fitting in trying to help Cody scale the business. So I've been very good at scaling businesses my entire career, and that's why I got involved, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've been able to see the partnership with the two of you just a little bit over the last few weeks, and I absolutely see that. And I'm excited to see kind of how, speaking of scaling, I'd be curious if you guys could share, like, I know you mentioned we're rapidly building the company, right? So we went from how many homes, say, last year to how many this quarter to how many next quarter. Like, what's that path looking like right now for you?
Well, good question, Bob. So what we did is, we started as an idea last August, so we're just about going on 10 months now. The majority of that time has been to sort out what we're doing and how we're doing it and how can we be better at it. And we feel we've kind of achieved those results. So we have a facility in Boise that we're building homes. We have the ability to build about 8 to 10 homes a month out of that facility. And we're currently in working progress to get into another additional warehouse of a lot bigger size. We hope to be just about after the 4th of July, they have the ability to build about 50 homes a month. And we've been ramping up every angle of that, even within help within our company. So we have the right people on the bus within the management that can help execute those orders. We just needed more space. Unfortunately, when you build a home inside of a warehouse, you take up a lot of space. So for us, that's where we're at in the progress of our company. But we do have models finished. We got models in queue. We're working with suppliers and we're working with cabinet makers. We're working with all different facets of the home. And we're constantly working our prices down, which then we can pass on to a more affordable product for customers. We're already in that affordable range, but we are going to get pretty competitive to have a super affordable product here pretty quick. And that just comes in time and experience and relationships. So that's about where we're at. We also have building lots for those homes. So we're working with communities to introduce those affordable homes into these valleys so people can see that everyone has that dream of home ownership and can achieve that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like kind of going into communities and the educational piece, and John, you alluded to it a minute ago, we're not tiny homes, we're not manufactured homes. So maybe speak a little bit to your product lines and kind of what exactly are you producing, right?
Sure. Yeah. So you have a market where you have traditional built homes. And so a lot of companies have tried to fix this problem with what they consider a tiny home. There's been tiny home adoptions throughout the state of Idaho. One of the challenges that hit with a tiny home are they're not inspected homes. They're not up to building code. So a lot of jurisdictions, a lot of people get talked into buying those tiny homes, and then they enter a lot, and they have to kind of stay on a chassis like a camp trailer. What people are trying to achieve of home ownership is a real home that they can go get financed. They can call it their own home.
Permanency, right?
Correct.
Sure.
So
Piece of the rock.
Tiny homes in itself are kind of regulated through the Department of Motor Vehicles,
Right.
Where our product is completely separate. We are built through International Building Code, so we have the ability to final our building in our warehouse as it would be on any job site, and from there we can ship that home to pretty much nationwide because we all follow that International Building Code. What's not done in our warehouse, say like a foundation, we pass what's called an NLEA form over to the jurisdiction where the home is going. So a building permit is opened in that jurisdiction for those items like foundation, final utility hookup. So when they receive our product, they pair it with that other permit. And once that on-site permit is done, that jurisdiction issues the C of O. From there, our products are fully financeable. We have some banks on board, some mortgage companies. So we also wanted to make it streamlined for a customer to not just love our home, but get it to their home ownership. As far as manufactured homes, you're finding a lot of subpar products being put out there. And as John hit on, we, from the ground up, we are built on high-strength steel beams. So we don't have the flex that mobile homes or manufactured homes have going down the interstate. We're a steel stud system, so we're perfectly straight. Everything is calculated through a CAD program. Our metal is made within 1/8 of an inch guarantee. And then we pair that with a closed cell spray foam, which acts as a perfect energy seal and adds 40% structural strength. So you top that off with deep grain siding and all of the things that make a home look nice. We know that we're a better built product than a traditional home. We have no mold and moisture, and we deliver these things super quick. So right now we're building homes from...
Yeah, Cody mentioned the fire resistance, because I think it's a really nice addition.
So your metal doesn't burn, nor does the foam. So your house is less likely to catch fire.
Right.
But the last thing I'll hit on before I pass it off is we are about a 2.5 week build from start to finish on our smallest model to the max of a 6 week build on our largest model. So that's something that our speed to market is kind of one of our hits. And I'll let John kind of hit on how that delivery process works with what we're guaranteeing for time.
Yeah, we're offering 90 days. We think we can deliver inside 90 days.
Okay.
So we're pretty excited about that timeline, given where the market is today and the shortage of homes.
Yeah.
So, if somebody has a lot or somebody wants an ADU for their backyard, we can deliver within 90 days.
That's remarkable.
It's fantastic not only for potential clients, but for partners like yourselves who are trying to provide solutions for clients. And it expands the ability, it expands the market to perhaps people who couldn't afford the average cost of home. And I think here in Boise is about $575 now. I mean, it's expensive, right? So it provides other options that are a little bit a lower entry point, but still a really high quality product, and you can get it quickly.
Right.
And so, we're really excited about what we have.
Well, that timeline's, thinking of today's high interest rates relatively, and they're bouncing around all over the place. When you're doing a traditional new construction, you're 6, 9, 12 months out. You have no idea in today's interest rate environment where you're really going to land on that.
No.
And so if you can tighten that up to say 60, 90 days like you guys are doing, that's super exciting, right? Because a lot more...
It's a good point.
To anticipate with your payment, and again, that all goes back to the affordability piece.
Yeah, the interest rate risk is definitely reduced because of the timeline, which is a great point.
So some people, I can see how some folks would say, oh my goodness, you're building an entire home in 90 days, right? Like, how can you possibly do that? And I think what a lot of consumers don't realize is how much time is wasted on a traditional job site. We were talking about weather delays, and you get one subcontractor out of whack, and that completely throws off the rest of your schedule, right? So you guys are in an environment
100%.
where, you mentioned 24/7. Do you ever have anybody out there at 2 a.m. working on it?
We're flexible. If subs come in and say, hey, we'd like to just, crush this out, we're open. We leave the lights on, and we trust all of our subs. We're very well regulated with, I've been building for a while, so we're using a lot of the same people that have built their trust up with us. And so the answer is, we can build around the clock.
Yeah. Are there any subcontractors? This question just kind of occurred to me out of the blue. Like, who are you using that might be different, and not specific companies necessarily, but any different parts of the process? Like you mentioned steel framing. Like you see that more in a commercial environment typically, right? So that's definitely different than your typical residential sort of construction build process. But what else? What else in the process might be unique to modular homes?
So one of the nice things, it's not who we use, it's who we don't use.
Okay.
We're not using framers. We don't need a big crew out there because all of our kits come panelized. So we're building homes, full homes in 5 days with structure, meaning floor, walls, and roof in 5 days.
Wow.
Our team assembles that, 2 guys in 5 days. So it's not basically, the nice thing about what we're doing is we're eliminating costs, and extreme costs are, when I was building in Valley County, we were getting, there's no place to live because there's no affordable housing, there's no workforce housing. So we were getting past those Airbnb bills, and it just happens our framers love the ones with the hot tubs and the pools. But so we had no choice to pay those. We're paying fuel, we're paying per diem, we're paying dinner, we get all those bills, which then, you total all that up. There's our, super expensive $500 square foot house in Valley County.
Right.
But So another thing to attribute to that, other than framers, we don't need a crane for basically flying trusses. We don't need a lot of subs. There's a lot of crossover there. So we typically have the same traditional subs like HVAC, plumbing, electrical. But we're finding out that our staff that we have on now can do a lot of those cross items of, filling in if there's something that needs to be moved. We do it. We don't have to hire somebody to drive up to Valley County.
Sure.
Our staff is quite capable of really hands-on. We pick the right people that can go fix a leak in a sink if there's one. We don't need to call that plumber. So we eliminate a lot of that. And it's right there in front of us. So all of our systems, what we're gaining is time. So we're eliminating about 35% cost of a traditional build. Everyone says, well, steel's more money than wood. Well, when you start adding up all of the lineal, when you go to Home Depot, you have a 12-foot, 14-foot, and a 16-foot. Mm-hmm. And the reason they don't have 20-foot there is because of the natural crown and twist. So you take all that extra wood on even that lineal, which goes to waste. You see these big wood piles out there on a job site. Mm-hmm. All of our metal is exactly cut within 1/8 inch. So meaning we can have the precision. And when you have precision, the labor force that puts it together isn't pulling a tape measure out. We're literally just putting everything in. And our system is designed, for example, we're reducing the labor on our job sites because all of our steel studs are pre-punched for electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. Where traditionally in wood, you got guys drilling holes,
right,
cutting things that they shouldn't be cutting. All of our kits come pre-assembled, so literally the subs show up. Everything is exactly where the pipe needs to go, is already pre-punched into the stud.
Yep.
So they're in and out. They're excited because they're quicker.
Yep.
They're doing more builds. They're making more money.
Fewer callbacks.
All around, the experience is good for all of us, not just Mountain Modular.
Man, if I had a nickel for every time I was in a home inspection where the plumber cut through the top flange of a floor joist. Right. I mean, it comes up all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think that's another important benefit that Cody mentioned is the subs love it, right? Because they're going to the same place every day. It's a lot more efficient. They can make more money. Mm-hmm. They make it home to their families. Mm-hmm. They're not sleeping in a foreign environment. They're sleeping in their home bed.
Right.
So, the subs love it. So they want to maintain the relationship. And they want to do well because it's a better gig for them than what they're currently doing.
Yeah. So. You mentioned ADUs a minute ago. Tell us what an ADU is and what the market opportunity you see there is.
Yeah, so here locally in Boise, most of our interest right now is the ADU market, which is considered an accessory dwelling unit. An accessory dwelling unit is if you live in a home and you need, like kind of they call it mother-in-law quarters or something for extended family. It's an outbuilding which has regulation. In Valley County, where we are at, you can have an ADU, but they cap your square footage at 1,000 square feet. They don't want you having two big homes on a property. So you qualify. Most of the jurisdictions that I am aware of have adopted the ADU ordinance. Boise County just passed theirs, which is anything with a 2.1 acre or more qualifies for an ADU.
Okay.
In Valley County, there's no size restriction for an ADU. You just have to have the setbacks. It's a public hearing to where you're on notice with your neighbors. Mm-hmm. So they want to know, and they also regulate that you can't rent them both for like vacation rentals. You have to live in one, but you can rent the other. It has to be a primary. What's special about Boise is we're kind of out of room for Boise city limits. Most of that's been swallowed up. And so what they've introduced there is a way for a little bit more housing in that same area with in your backyard. And that's where this ADU placement happens. An ADU in Boise city limits used to be a 700 square foot allowance, meaning you couldn't get over that. They have then realized that they've raised it to a 900 square foot allowance for an ADU. What determines that, what the size is your setbacks. So they have certain setbacks in that zoning that you can't kind of plug your yard up. You have to have, 10 feet off your fence,
Right.
25 feet off the front, and those stipulations. At Mountain Modular, we fit the ADU perfectly because we're mobile. We're built quickly, 2.5 weeks from our smallest, up to about 4 weeks for our biggest. And we have a 360 square foot model, which is kind of like our studio. It'd be for a Murphy bed. All of our models have washer and dryer, full bathroom. Most of them have a mezzanine for extra storage or space, a porch. And so we have what's called a mini mod. That's kind of our hit item, which is our most inexpensive item. And it's a 2.5 week build. We built our first one at the warehouse in 19 days. And that was start to finish. We have a time lapse on our website of doing the whole structure in 5 hours.
Wow.
So you can go to our website at mtnmodulars.com and you can learn all about this product. You can see it built. You can see the crane moving stuff. And we're continually adding content for it going up the highway to a job site. But to go back to the ADU, our second model is our mini mod, what we talked about, extended. We call it the mini mod extended, and it has a bedroom added. And our third model is called the Aspen. And the Aspen is a full home, 2-bed, 1-bath, kitchen, living room, and a 28-foot garage. And that's a 2-module unit. So when you talk about the ADUs, those are our 3 that fit the ordinance of Boise city limits. And kind of how it works within the city limits is if you have a single family residence home in zoning, you apply for a zoning certificate, and that takes 3 to 4 weeks. They process and actually change the zoning on your home, your property, to multifamily. And then from there, you're allowed to put in another unit, go through a building permit process with the setbacks, and contact us to do your ADU.
Right. So
one of the strengths to hit on with that is, I mentioned in our meeting yesterday, are these helical anchors. It's very challenging to get into a small backyard to put a foundation in. And so recent technology has developed an helical anchor system, which are basically 8-foot anchor bolts that go into the ground, into the soil. And those replace structurally what a concrete foundation does for a home. It's a wash. But the difference is the benefits of cost and the benefits of time and no mess. So traditionally, 5 years ago, to put an ADU in your backyard in Boise, you'd have to hire a contractor. They would go in, tear your fence down, dig a big hole in the swimming pool, hole in your backyard, and put in a foundation, pump the concrete in, and take your dirt to the dump, because you can't store it in city limits on a lot or on the street. And then once that concrete foundation is in, they go purchase that dirt that they just got done dumping, bring it back, and backfill.
Yeah.
Well, now this new system called helical anchors that we use are 10 of those anchor bolts, and it's a 2.5 hour install.
Yeah.
A guy walks through a little small yard gate and lasers them, puts them in the ground with a little piece of equipment, drills them into the ground hydraulically, and then we crane our ADU unit over the house like a hot tub, and we set it on those anchors, and we hook it up to those anchors, and then we hook up the utilities. And so within 3 to 5 days, you have your home.
Instead of 3 to 5 weeks.
Correct. Plus the mess, plus the headache, plus the cost. So that's our excitement, is not only do we deliver a great product, we can actually install a great product very painlessly.
Yeah. So ADUs would be under the 900-ish foot range, but your whole product line goes up to how large?
So we are from a 360 square foot to just under a 1,400 square foot unit. We have 8 models right now on our website, and you can find that on our plans page, which you can click on that, download them, print them, and we're kind of making everything as transparent as possible through that website.
Awesome. So talk to us a little bit about the process then. Obviously, we want to have folks visit your website, get all the information, but let's say someone's really interested in getting a price put together on a potential plan. How would that work?
Go ahead.
So basically the way we're making it is everyone wants to know, okay, what's the cost? We love this product, but how much? Instead of us all being on the phones all day, we've developed a system on the website, our pricing page, which gives us the answers to the questions we need to accurately give you a budget. We're guaranteeing that is a 24-hour request guarantee. So when that's submitted through the website, we have 20 so questions on there that tells us where's your home, what model you're interested in, do you have sewer, do you have water, what's the distances, do you understand that Idaho Power has a special fee, can we access it? I mean, all of these things that we would ask you are put right on that website. So a client can go on there at any time and fill that out. We're getting dozens and dozens of them every day right now. And we have staff involved that can accurately give you a budget. We're not going to give you an exact price, but we'll get you in the ballpark pretty accurately. And then if somebody does say, yeah, that sounds good to me, I love the product, that price is what I'm looking for, we then will work with them directly at our office location to answer any further questions and proceed to a sale in a contract. And get their product built. We're now building inventory. So we also hope to, during this new inventory of real estate, have people pop in that say, hey, I have that piece of land that I just couldn't find a builder for 3 years, or my builder's behind. We're hopeful that in our time frame, we can obviously also have inventory that somebody could say, yeah, I like that building or that one, and then we deliver it to their job site within 30 days. So it's a very streamlined process through the website. We schedule warehouse tours. You can go online, again on the website, but lots of information there at mtnmodulars.com.
Super. Well, and we're excited to partner here at Coldwell Banker Tomlinson because obviously, you guys produce the product, but they still need a place to put it, right? And so if a prospective buyer doesn't yet, if it's not an ADU that they're putting behind their existing home, but they're looking to build somewhere where they don't yet have land, of course, they call their favorite Coldwell Banker Tomlinson agent. We'll get them hooked up with an agent here and search for property, and then we would partner with you to be able to make that all happen. And we're really excited too to be able to hopefully help alleviate some of the systemic pain points that you guys might have. I mean, you guys are busy, right? You're building product, and so we'd love to be able to work with buyers in scheduling those tours on your behalf and all those things too. So we're super pumped to be a part of this project. It's super exciting. I hate to keep using that word super, but it is. I mean, from the first day I met you guys in your warehouse to see the product and just how exacting your process is. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think the other thing that we didn't mention is we'll deliver anywhere in Idaho currently. And if it's a special circumstance outside of Idaho, we'll look at that. Obviously, transportation might be limiting just in terms of cost, but it's something we can look at. And then we also have a program that it's basically a licensing program where we're going into other states, other jurisdictions, working with individuals like Cody who have contracting experience, who are also interested in this solution, and allowing them to build our product locally there for their jurisdiction and their markets. So we have 5 interested parties right now in various states. And that will continue to grow. So we're excited about that as well.
That's great. Yeah. Well, that leads me kind of to my last question, which is what's the future look like? Where do you see the company going from here? What does scaling look like from here? So currently in Idaho, going to other states, but what's the big plan? What's the big vision?
Well, it's to solve the bigger problem, which is to broaden out in a responsible way. We think that the license agreement is the way to do that with partners, allow them to use what Cody's created here, and both in terms of intellectual property, the plans, et cetera, the buildings, the building materials, the takeoffs, and build in those jurisdictions. Develop relationships similar to our relationship with you guys in those jurisdictions for affiliates to bring awareness to the product. Pair that with ground that's available in those areas. So that's a big initiative for us, and that's probably the biggest initiative in terms of growth. for us here, Cody's the one who's scaling the business to be able to meet the demands of the market. And I think we're in a pretty good position. Like you said, we're just about ready to enter a new facility. Not only is the facility bigger just for manufacturing, but it also has storage capacity. So we can build stock and have that stock there resident. And that's really the ultimate goal, right? It's if somebody can come in, look at a product and it's available, that's really an exciting set of circumstances.
Pretty compelling.
Yeah. So we're focused on that. And then Cody can speak a little bit more about future products, because he's already working on some really exciting things there.
Yeah, well said, John. I think you have, what's our objectives, overall for affordable housing, and that's what John hit on. And then you have what is our objectives to stay in front of that wave. What we're finding is people are really excited about our single units like we're building now. We have those 8 models. But what struck us is the need for developers and kind of the multifamily. So right now, currently what we're working on is the volumetric side of modulars, stackable units. And right now, our product that I'm designing is starts with a 4-plex, if you can picture Legos, 4 Legos. And we have the ability to go as high up to 6 stories high. So we can take 4 of our units in a 4-plex, and we can just add as many units as we want above to where we get to 6 stories high or a 12-plex. Pair that with staggering those 12 plexes forward and back, and you kind of have what you see in Boise with some of the multifamily that's going in. We really love our mini mod extended unit for multifamily. It has that bedroom also has that mezzanine, so you can put a couple beds, and also has the ability for a Murphy bed. What we're finding is this new generation of home buyers are just wanting simplicity. They're spending more time outdoors. They don't want traditionally that custom built home we all do and done the way that we're all used to. People don't have the time anymore to really spend in a home. I mean, we're super busy. I come home at night prepared to get up and go to work the next day. Right. But I think that's what's most exciting about us is here within about 3 to 6 months, we'll have a way to build volumetric modulars in the same fashion we're doing now for the singular to deliver 6 to 8 month multifamily projects where typically you're in the 2 to 3 year range.
Sure.
So that's what we're working on now, as John told you, and kind of what we've got going on, which is super exciting for us because we want to hit both angles of affordable housing, not just for your kind of first-time home buyers.
This is a bit of a digression, but one of the things that we didn't touch on, Cody, maybe you can talk about, is just the space inside, like the mini mod extended, which we love because once again, it's not tiny home space.
Right.
It when you go in it actually feels quite large, and it just gives you a bigger feel. And maybe you can talk about the spacing, Cody. Design.
So a good point. This is huge. So a tiny home, you're typically an 8-foot wide unit. And the reason they do that is most every trailer that you find within regulations of DMV is 8-foot wide. Your camp trailer, your flatbed, your dump bed. With Mountain Modulars, we're a 15-foot wide unit on our singular units. So basically, we're 15 by 30 feet long on our mini mod. And we're 15 by 40 feet on our extended. That doesn't seem like a lot of space, but one of the things that I learned as a builder is when you get into small space, you go vertically with higher headroom. And all of our units have a 10-foot to 12-foot raked ceiling. So when you're in our unit, not only are you focused on 7 feet wider than a tiny home, but you have all of that headspace, which incorporates the loft. So it has a very roomy feel. And with tiny homes, you're at an 8-foot ceiling, sometimes 7 foot 6 inches. that I've seen, you kind of have that camp trailer feel where you have that little tiny toilet, that little tiny sink, and it's kind of, that's your home. It's kind of a claustrophobic feel. What John is hitting at is that at Mountain Modulars, you have a very spacious feel. And we urge people to go to the website and see that, because a lot of our staging photos and our finished photos, it looks like a massive room, and it has that feel in person.
Yeah.
So that's super important, that we're delivering a home within its capabilities to maximize space. One of our biggest researches when we started was, how big can we get a home to go down the highway? And we've built this thing within inches of tolerances to really give the customer the max potential that we could deliver.
Yeah, I would say the thing I really love about it personally is that there are some large windows as well. So it's, claustrophobic is the right word when you're in a tiny home, right? Even when it's got windows, it feels very claustrophobic. It's almost an indoor-outdoor experience when you're in our model, because the windows are very large in the great room, and it draws you out. So it draws you out to the experience that's outside as well, which I personally love. So it's great for like a cabin. Not necessarily just an ADU, but a cabin or an Airbnb.
Right.
So it has a lot of really, really interesting uses, the way it was designed. And, Cody took that into account when he was putting it together.
Super. Any parting thoughts? Anything else we haven't touched on today?
We've got some available models that are in production.
Yep.
So, for all of your agents and all of your clients, we would love to schedule tours and get them in to see the product. Because when you see the product,
that makes it.
It makes a huge. It makes a huge difference, and they can get it this summer. I mean, they would be in the queue to get it this summer. Yeah. So we would love to. We'd love to have your clients come in and see us.
Yeah.
One thing I'll hit on, and probably people tuning in will want to know, is on our design. How do we choose? What does it look like? We have 5 design packages. We've had some designers come in and pair a lot of the tile and the flooring and all that. And we felt like what we've came up with to make it streamlined for our inventory is, when you go to the website, we have 5 packages there. And based on the interest of any client, we would be able to tell you when that package you like is up next for sale in queue with us. Mm-hmm. But that's super important. I think when people go to the website, they'll be able to see, like, what is it that I'm buying and what does it look like? Everybody wants to know, like, what does these homes look like? We just would say direct you to the website, but we give a 5 options.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, it's clear to me, just from the time I've spent with you, and I haven't spent a ton of time yet, but look forward to more, just the enthusiasm and the energy that you both have around your product and your process, and how you're solving and working towards solving some of the big problems in housing. And that's just exciting for me. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you again for the partnership opportunity with us here at Coldwell Banker Tomlinson. We're looking forward to doing some great things together with you. And thanks again for being here today, Cody, John. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.